All right, ladies and gentlemen, the second semi-final, the playoff one for the Gameathlon Athens Road to Athens. In the left-hand corner of the map, playing as Gaia. He's on one of his strongest gods here. This is a god that Recon has had success with for a very long time. It's Gaia. His opponent today, in the red color, playing as Kronos. Well, this is grass. Now, I got to be honest. I had the pleasure of playing Recon one time recently. And I got the better of him in this exact matchup. Just to stroke my back a little bit. I did say that this is a matchup that I really don't like playing as Kronos. But I figured out a way through. And Recon here, I think he's doing something very, very different now. And I don't want to say it was because of me, because it probably wasn't. But he's picked Leto. It happened! I didn't even suggest it! He picked it! Caster's curse. No caster's curse at all. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go. Alrighty. Now, of course, Leto has some weaknesses here against Atlantean normally, and those weaknesses sort of exist inside of things like not Prometheus, things like Oceanus. Against Prometheus, it's less of a problem because there's no there's no like, what am I trying to say? Oh, there's no cheaper heroes. So you can go into Automaton, but this might not be the plan from Recon. Recon might just be going Leto for the stronger Pierce armor and also for the stronger favor generation from his oracles. He can go into something later. He can go into Behemoth later. He can go into Stymphalian Birds later. He can go into more Spider Lairs later. The Spider Lairs do get dropped down on this town center, and for those of you who don't know, it does reveal the town center here, so you will be able to see everything. As the Oracle is over onto the left side, and Grass, well, he takes a really, really slow advance. Very, very slow. And he's going through that Prometheus. Now, Prometheus does have a very, very strong, just very, very strong option here, which is to drop yourself the Economic Guild and make yourself hero citizens. But the problem with that is, if that's what Grass goes for and Recon scouts it, well, all of a sudden, the Automatons become even more powerful. Now, Recon, he's opening up with a whole bunch of Terma to kick this game off. Spider Eggs onto the back here as well. You see a little bit of damage done as the Automaton happily going to take out one Promethean offspring, the Citizen moving forward. What is that one doing? Normally the player who is aggressive in these sorts of situations is actually going to be Grass, as the Valor comes down onto that Mermillo hero. Another Automaton going to come through, and that can actually heal up the other Automaton that's taken a little bit of damage here. So no Caladria, but he's got the healing anyways. There's another counter barracks coming up onto the front. Meanwhile, units getting pulled in onto this side. Got to be careful because the Spider Lair is in, and that's going to be a dead Mermillo there. You do get to see those Spider Lairs if you get close enough. But Grass not paying attention. Recon, he is off to the races here in this game, and he is looking dominating as Grass is struggling to deal with what's coming his way right now. Big damage onto the forward gold mine as well. There is a gold mine at the backside as this Citizen will have to garrison. He's going to heroize it with the Valors, but this means no more Valors onto his own units as more Terma are coming through for Grass. But the Citizen's under fire, and that's that hero Citizen doesn't have another option. It has to get pulled away. We'll see what's going to happen as the Terma continue to move forward, continue to get the pot shots in. More Terma on the way. We've got that medium archers also coming through. Wouldn't mind seeing another Automaton here. There's really no problems where that's concerned. Lots of favor in the bank, lots of gold in the bank. The third Spider Lair is up, and now we see the Citizens over onto the side of the map. Does Grass see the gold mine? Yes, he does. So he can simply just move there. There's no real problems with that, but it is him out in the middle ready to get targeted down, which is somewhat of an issue. As the Terma trying to get a little bit of damage done, but remember, he can just heal that off, so it's not the biggest of deals. Onto the top side, the unit's coming around onto the side from grass. Of course, he can't really attack on this position because of the spider lairs. It looks like grass is just going to be searching for oracles for the time being. Or at least for a raid or something for the time being here. It's the Mamillo coming in. That's going down. Counter barracks does get cleaned up. And does Recon know what's going on here? Yes, he does. He sees there's a gold mine onto the bottom side. As the issue here for Recon is he needs to set up the spider eggs on this side and then on this side so that he has that defensive ability to play away from those units. Now, one thing here that Grass can do as well is time shift his buildings on top of the spider eggs. It doesn't kill the spider eggs off, but it does make sure that his units don't accidentally run over them and die. To the main base here, we've got the catapulties getting targeted down. Caraballister is in. Getting little bits of damage done. Always good to get out that one defensive Caraballister. Have to imagine there's another spider lair getting dropped down from grass here. Another automaton joining in. More automatons joining in. At this stage, it's time to get that upgrade. Those automatons can be really powerful. Another spider lair over onto this side as Recon trying to hunt down these Mamillos and everything else, but this does give Grass a little bit of breathing room, which he really needs. And inside of that breathing room is heroizing his units and getting some units out that deal with the automaton. Terma aren't really the best unit to heroize because the automaton's got 50% pierce armor, and that will slowly start to creep up as Recon coming in on the surround. Caraballister getting that damage done here as the units are going to try and collapse in onto this, but they will all end up falling. Is there an armory in for Recon? Yes, there is, and that's ballistics there. This is something that I've also been very much enjoying, is a classical age ballistics Caraballister. And once that's in, well, even before that's in, the Murmillos are going to fall. But Recon is now... Well, Grass is now hunting other stuff as Recon just pulls back, playing safe for the time being. Not really sure why. He definitely should be moving out onto the map. There's no ballistics in just yet from Grass. And, well, we'll see what the Recon play is at the moment. Take a look at his line of sight. He doesn't have line of sight here. He doesn't have line of sight here. He does have line of sight here as he sees the wall coming up, but for the moment here, Grass is fine to just enjoy that back gold mine. But the thing about Recon that I've noticed is that Recon is fine. He's very confident in himself. He is fine playing a game that is kind of advantageous for him. Like, if he's just got a tiny little bit of an advantage, he's fine to just sit on that. He's not going to risk it. He's up a citizen. He's up on military by just a little bit, or definitely up on tech as the Terma going to try and retreat out. And this ballistics here is going to pay itself off in a really big way as Recon's Terma coming forward, and you can't dodge these arrows. They're all, well, you can dodge the arrows with some wiggle micro, but these are all going to be ending up falling momentarily here. Is Hyperion on the way, however. The idea from Grass is just get to the heroic age and make that happen. There's one Terma traded for the whole bunch of them, it looks like here. Terma hero down, and Recon into the center of the map, spreading up the manas, spreading up everything. The walls are in for Grass. He did lose a lot of units there, but to some degree it doesn't really matter. With the Hyperion, he's going to have access to Chaos. He's going to have access to the Satyrs. So he should be able to strike back to some degree. But behind this, Recon now has himself his upgrade for the Oracles. He's got himself the Automaton upgrade. He's got 5 Oracles. And, well, if Recon wants to, he can simply just go into a huge amount of more automaton. Like, if he wants to. He can do anything here. He's so far in front. Now the Contarius are coming through. Another spider lair gets dropped down onto this gold mine. As it is a bit of a retreat, retreat spot for Recon as the Terma dies onto this side. Like, all you got to do here if you are grass is just do this. Like, can I do it? I can't do it. There you go. Time shift this onto here, and that means your units aren't accidentally going to drop onto it. You do need line of sight, obviously, but that's the way. Or you just walk forward and put a building on it as well. It's totally fine. Well, the Terma do get somewhat caught out here. Is Recon probably should be considering some catapulties here. We'll see what his option is going to be. Catapulties do start coming in. At the moment, there's only 2 counter barracks, and it's going to be right into the Contarius himself. Sometimes just building Contarius to deal with Contarius is the better move because, well, Contarius are fast. Catapulties, a little bit slow. And it's tough to deal with them. For the moment here, Recon's just like, I'm just going to sit back, enjoy my advantage, and Grass says, I got to charge forward. He does have Chaos. As a citizen, not quite going down there. He does have Chaos. That's a big deal, but 2 Stymphalian birds? That's almost a bigger deal. Grouse will just pull back. He's trying to get himself more units out. Heavy cap to come through. And there, Recon controlling his army, trying to take the fight. Grass is just full send at the moment. Onto the backside come the Contarius. Still no Chaos in from Grass as he drops it onto the left side. Recon has spread his units out very, very nicely. You also have to remember that these units are fighting on top of Gaia Lush. So that's HP regen while it's all going on as the heroes come onto the back there. Hesperid's tree for the HP regen as well, as that's 5 HP a second from both of the Hesperid's trees. And Grass goes for the Hail Mary on that fight. And Recon, as Recon does best, simply says, what are you doing? You can't win this fight. Please leave. No, you don't want to leave? All right, I'll kill all your units, and then you can leave. Now Recon is up 4.2k to 1.2k. Grass's Contarius swinging around the side now. We're going to hit the Oracle of Recon. Oh, no. Yep. Finds the Oracle. Takes one out. It's got to be at least a little bit of a nicety for him. Recon's still just playing so defensive. I love this, though. This is something I haven't seen enough Leto players doing. When you lose the automaton, rebuild them. He's got 9 now. So he hasn't gone too crazy on the old automaton spam, but he's just enough of them. Just enough of them, and it's just giving him such a big advantage in these fights. Onto the top side, the Contarius raids coming through, but you can't really raid here as Kronos when your opponent has got those Contarius, those Thea Contarius. They will have the speed advantage, not just yet from Recon. He's missing himself the Poseidon Secret for the time being, but shortly it's going to be the Lance of Stone, which is another really big technology, which basically prevents the enemy units from getting away from the Contarius, sets them to 70% speed. And Recon now coming in. Going to take out those citizens that they're going to dive through the mana onto this side. A little bit of a win for Grass to get a bit of damage off. Picks off 3 Contarius there, but he will take some revenge fire from the Stymphalian birds. And of course, Recon, the simple moves here. Went ahead, get further ahead. Let's not take a gigantic risk. Just drop a town center and go from there. Meanwhile, Recon swinging around onto the bottom side. He does know there's a gold mine in the very bottom corner, but he's just refusing to go and check it. Like, I don't get it. He hasn't walked over there 1 millimeter. He goes here. He's like, not here, not here. Okay, I guess you're still in the main base. No. Like, he definitely sees a gold mine. I can see there's a gold mine here. All right, it's fine though. There's prophetic sight now coming through, which is even more favorable. Look, Recon is now up to 8 oracles. And of course, the Contarius raids to the top. They also get spotted by those oracles sitting over here. And sooner or later, well, look at this. Onto the Lush. Does Recon have himself his upgrade? Yes, he does. Onto the Lush. 6.7 speed. 7 speed on the Lush. And I don't believe the grass is going to be getting out of here this time, especially not with Lance of Stone in. As you can see, the units here drop down to 4 speed there. As long as he gets every single one of them targeted, he should be able to kill them all off. And grass drops those, but up onto the top side now, there is a transition into Murmillos. And if there's anything that can kind of work here for grass, it is changing the type of units that he's going to be building. Murmillos, what do they beat here, though? They don't really beat the Dryads. They don't beat the Automatons. They do beat the Terma. They do beat the Contarius. Is the town center going to be under attack? There is a Caraballister in. There's also going to be those Stymphalian birds there as well. As the Terma can pop in, pop out, snipe the Arcus and all the other good stuff as the heroes there. Very, very difficult to deal with. But will Recon be able to win this fight is the big question. So many infantry units. I'm loving this change of pace here from grass, completely catching Recon off guard. But in a game of numbers, sometimes it doesn't matter if you catch your opponent off guard. The Murmillos getting chased back. There's not enough myth units, there's not enough heroes in to deal with the myth units that Recon has. As the heroes dive onto that backside, taking out the Satyrs. The Stymphalian birds can come back in and join the fight, but Recon doesn't even look like he needs them, as the army of grass will get taken out, and Recon is off to the races here in this series, gets that first win. That's got to feel very, very good. A dominating game here, and in classic Recon fashion, he got in, he got his early game damage dealt, and he just pulled back and he sat on that advantage while Grass was just panicking, trying to figure out how he could pull himself back into this game. I think there was a way here for Grass to pull himself back into this game outside of going full crazy on the attack, and that was inside of the technology Theft of Fire, of which I don't believe Grass had. No Theft of Fire. So if he went Theft of Fire here and he stuck for the defense and he just got himself that economy going, then I think he would have been able to sort of deal with the fact that Recon wasn't being so aggressive here, but he didn't go for it. Recon gets the dub. We'll jump over to the draft, see what game 2 is going to look like. Winning that game 1 is always a big confidence booster if you're worried, but Recon's got nothing to worry about right now. He is in the driver's seat. Grass has got to figure out how he can reset and start dealing with it. Let's go to the draft and see what's going to get picked. Our next map, Amaterasu versus Hades on Budapest. A little bit different here. I haven't seen a whole lot of this matchup, to be honest. I haven't seen a whole lot of this matchup. We do have a little bit of time before this game, and we're going to have a quick commercial break because I do need to run to the loo. So I'll be right back. We're going to be coming back with the Amaterasu Hades game momentarily. Don't you guys go nowhere, otherwise you're going to miss out on the action. Enjoy the highlights while I'm away. See you guys soon. What is he doing? Did he just lose his mind? No way! Garneth has literally just lost his mind. This is going to be Swampland. This is going to be Thunderburst. Recon is looking at this going, what is happening here? In comes the heroic age. Swampland gets dropped. Thunderburst comes down. Even if the town center dies, it doesn't matter. I don't understand this in the slightest. Units getting thrown for 6 here. In come the Naginata Riders. Is there enough stuff here for Recon? Garnet is full send at the moment. There's also going to be reinforcements coming through. The Swampland ends. Villagers now getting into the mix. Idle villagers over here. There's the towers also in onto this spot. There's also a Kusanagi that can get dropped down that Recon now finally drops in. Of course, all the villagers are dying. Garnet's down to 15 villagers. He's trying to make his units out to start dealing with these Jaguar Riders. They're going to dive in. Can Matrius hold this is the big question. Chariot Archer Micro going to start coming in as the Scorpion Man around on the side. Those priests need to be getting this damage done. But they're not. Migdol Stronghold getting empowered as Matrius just not able to deal with these units. One of those Obsidian Shards to come through as well. That's another unit that you need to have the Siege Tower out to actually deal with, funnily enough. Up onto this top side, the medium Jaguar Riders getting targeted down again. Another Obsidian Shard coming in. What has he got? He's got an Obsidian Butterfly coming out of here. I think the other one was an Eotochli as well. As Matrius, does he have enough stuff to hold this is the question. Chariot Archers doing a good job here to take out the remaining Jaguar Riders. Why the Amaterasu pick? You know Grass is going to be playing Hades here. There's got to be a reason from Recon. I do remember an epic Recon versus Kavoth game on Anatolia. I think it was Recon. If Kavoth is in the chat, remind me. If someone else remembers the game, remind me. An epic. I think it was in Champions League Season 4. I could be wrong. But it was a ridiculous game, back and forth the entirety of that game. But what Kavoth did was spam the Thunderburst, right? We'll see if Recon's got his own plans. Of course, the game's changed a lot since then, so there could be anything different. But I remember this one being an absolute banger. We'll see if it's going to be a banger or not. Recon and Grass into the next game. It is 1-0 for Recon. That's feeling good. But Grass, he's going to have to figure out how he can strike back as we get into our Budapest game and see how it's going to go. And off we go. Game number 2. Left-hand side of the map, Recon playing as Amaterasu. Right-hand side of the map, Grass playing as Hades. As the clash of styles has already developed. Dock in the center of the map from Grass on both sides. Recon, he's opting for the home dock to get these fishing ships out faster, safer, stronger. It's going to allow him to get a faster classical age in. But he might be gifting Grass a 16 villager lead here in this game. 16. How do I come up with that number? Well, you have 8 fish here, you have 8 fish here, and 8 fish on the back. If you grab every single one of them, that's going to be equal to 24. We've got a maths class here. If you've only got 8, then 24 take 8 is 16. There you go. I can do mental arithmetic sometimes. Nonetheless, let's check some relics. Over onto this side, we have Sharon's Obel. Villagers dying, get some resources back. Always nice. Gambantine, Odin's Wand. Foodwood Gold. Favor research cost minus 25% there. into the middle of the map, there is the Demeter's Throne. Cheaper houses is always nice, but also the drop sites there getting cheaper and building faster. And finally, the Scarab Pendant. This is a big relic here for both players. This makes your siege weapons stronger, so the Petropolis stronger, the Oni stronger, and of course the Colossus stronger. Alrighty. I still don't really know what the game plan here is for Recon, because he's just gifted the sides of the water over to Grass. And Grass is probably thinking, if I take all of this fish, is this bad? What's going to happen here? And the thing is, the main thing here for Grass is to not be too greedy, I think. If he gets all 16 spots, right, in the middle, he should be trying to get a nice, clean, classical age, and then look for this dock later, because this is always going to be here. Instead, I mean, the simple thought process is, let's just try and get all of the spots as fast as we possibly can, because it's so cheap to do so. But you do run the risk of really taking a difficult line through this game. Well, so Miko on the way from Recon. And it's going to be the Minakata Tommy. And I got to imagine it's going to be a Athena here from Grass. Nobody goes Ares, right? Ares is really good in this matchup. Just saying. Don't let anybody know that. This is very secret knowledge. Ares is fantastic in this matchup. Nonetheless. Minakata Tommy in for Recon, and he is going to be going most likely for quite a few of those 1 Udor. Now, he hasn't got himself Kagura yet, which is, hang on, that's got to be a mistake. No Kagura means these Miko take longer to train. Very confused. Anyways. Oh. The aggressive Shrine of the Hunt. It's been how long since I've seen this last? Is this Nyan Racing Cat? Shrine of the Hunt will be completing here. The Ajax does do some damage, but not enough. The Shrine of the Hunt will get dropped. And that will be this wood line locked off of. And now we've got the Bushi coming through. Couple of 1 Udor as well to come in, and he is going to start sieging this position immediately. Explain why Ares is fantastic. Because Cyclops can kill off everything. Cyclops are insane. They're an amazing unit. You also get the Hypaspis in the classical age. You also can do Pestilences to take things, slow things down. It's all good. Prodromus gets stronger. Toxotes get stronger. Underworld shenanigans is also on the cards. The list goes on. Nonetheless, Recon already in this main base of Grass. 1 Udor, take a little bit of damage. Is this going to get pulled back? Solar Shield will get dropped in, and some Revenge Fire while that's all going on. Not really the usage that Recon wants to be going for there. Is that another one? Does he still not have Kagura? Don't understand that. I don't get it. Like, saving the favor doesn't even make sense, because you're just going to get it back faster anyways. Nonetheless, the Yumi Archers are in, and this is some serious pressure to come through from Recon. Not quite. Solar Shield up as the heroes charge forward. Pick off one. Yep, one Udor goes down, but losing a 1 Udor for a Achilles is that's a trade you'll make every single time. On the backside of this, I think Grass just wants to get himself to the Heroic Age. If he gets Heroic Age, he gets Peltas. That's going to be really nice. But his Gold Mine is going to be getting targeted down momentarily. And comes the Achilles yet again. There's now 3 Miko are in for the heals. Three Miko are in for the heals, and I think that Achilles is not long for this world as that gets pulled back, but I think they're both going to be dying, but we do have Aphrodite coming in. This is somewhat of a race against the clock here. The temple is going to be going down as well. Momentarily, villagers pulling around onto this side. Now the damage comes through. We do have a Pegasus in, but that's not going to be much help at all. As the village is falling, that's brutal. And Grass is just sort of watching this, watching himself just lose villagers non-stop. And he's like, hang on, what? He's got a gold mine over here. Just make the trek. Go over there. It's fine. But sooner or later, there will be a Heroic Age. There will be Peltas. There will be an Aphrodite with Curse. So even though Grass is hurting here, you have to remember, he has 21 fishing ships. So just add 21 onto this number and add 8 onto this for the rest of this game, at least until the fishing ships get disabled. So Grass's economy, he's doing fine here. Like, he's not actually behind on economy. The problem is that food isn't really that important for him here. His curse gets dropped. Hippias charging forward. There will be a restoration as well. Over onto this side of the Kitsune, just causing issues. It's back to the Shrine of the Hunt he goes, and Grass doesn't want any of that. Any of that smoke over there. He says, no worries. I'll pull back. And Recon, well, he can keep spamming units out. But now he needs to make sure he's getting the answer for Peltast, which is going to be, I guess the one Udo are an answer, kind of, but we'll see how things are going to go. We've got the Kumiki coming through, and Naginata Riders, Yadi Spearman as well on the way. To the middle of the map. Grass looking for some raids and things like that. And Recon is just going to rotate around here and look for the fight. There is a pretty close military diff here. With restoration, it might be a winning fight for Grass. We'll have to wait and see as Recon pulls up onto this side. Little bits of damage to come through, trying to take out that Nemean line there as the one Udo sits at the front there. He's going to be tanking that up, and he can drop the Solar Shield there onto the middle as well if he wants to, and that's exactly what he's going to be going for. Naginata Riders over onto this side. That's not the right move from Recon. You want to be fighting the actual units here. Grass takes his villagers. He's more than happy to get those shanks off as the Yumi Archers don't have a front line. Naginata Riders onto the backside, taking out those Toxotes. The Yadi Spearmen, they're needed versus the Hippias. If Recon was actually fighting the Hippias, he probably would have won this fight. He gets some Vil picks, sure. Now add 16 to this. Now we're looking very close, but Grass is now equalized on military. I think Recon's happy with this, though. He did so much damage. I do think if he just took the army fight and ignored the villagers, I think he would have been fine to actually fight another Solar Shield. Great usage of that one. Sends the unit forward. It gets focused. Solar Shield keeps it alive. There's another fight here coming in, but Grass looking strong now as there's really not that many archers anymore. For Recon, lots of military buildings in, plenty of spam. As the heroes need to be ignored. That's important. Great control there from Recon. Achilles goes down. Yumi Archers on the back, targeting down those hoplites, and Grass probably pushes a little bit too hard there. As Recon is able to win that next fight. Now, Grass is back into his main base. He's on this wood line, but this wood line's a little bit difficult to chop from as well because the Yumi Archers can come in and start hitting those. This wood line as well, he can't really grab. This one he can't grab because of the wolves, the Shrine of the Hunt, but Recon is allowing this for the time being. So yeah, this the Vil diff is equal. You just have to, like I said, like add 3. So it's 40 Vils to 39. And then you add the 8 here and you add the 8 here because they're equal. The more villages that Grass is losing, the harder this becomes. We are seeing some revenge raids coming in though from Grass. We'll be able to potentially pick off one villager. Nope, misses that one as the Naginata Rider is going to turn around. That might go down. Rest of these units coming through and Grass has to escape here. Losing units is not an option. This is not an option. He loses all of them. Stable coming up in the main base for Grass. Dromus on the way. Hoplites on the way. Naginata Riders charging through the main base, taking a little bit of damages. Recon slowly but surely building on his advantage here. Just pulling off of the wood line. Something else. This is just too much. There's too much military here now for Recon. Grass just hasn't been able to get himself up to anything resembling a decently sized army. Just the army picks and everything else. And now the docks are going to be going down. There's no way for Grass to defend this side. And now all of a sudden, you're no longer equal on villager count. You're actually losing by quite a bit. And Recon, if he wants to, he can come over, drop a dock, and he can take this spot for himself here. Meanwhile, Saltwater Spring on the way. Oh, second town center actually from Recon is his choice. Little bit surprising. Of course, it's fine for him to do this because he's a Amaterasu and he's going to be working towards Bushido tier 3 anyway. So he's about to be at full heavy. There it ticks over. And I guess from this moment, it's just full steam ahead for Recon. He doesn't need a heroic age. Heavy is in for Grass, but he's got no units left. Grass does have gold mines up onto the top and he says, nope, that game is done. Too much power in the Recon cheese. Not much of a cheese, to be honest. Just the forward shrine of the hunt does catch Grass off guard here. He had the back gold mine. He had everything he needed to get to the heroic age. He got there nicely, but this one fight that happened over onto this side lost so many villagers. I didn't think that it was that big of a deal for Grass. Actually, I want to check out the post game here and just unpack it a little bit because it looked okay for him in terms of just income, but he just was falling further and further and further behind. So let's check the post game out. All right. So militarily speaking, or resources, you can see that it was quite equal for quite a lot of time. Or even advantage Grass, but he did fall off towards the end as the villager diff did start to fall out of his favor. And you can see this graph does show us the fishing ships involved as he drops down below Recon here as well. But the big fight that happened right here, I believe. Right here, yeah. The big fight that happened was kind of close as well. But it was close because Grass was fighting with his villagers and, well, Recon wasn't fighting at all. I think maybe if Grass had grabbed himself survival equipment for that fight, could have been a completely different game. Seriously, simple. That one simple fact of just that one technology could have changed everything. But nonetheless, Recon up now 2-0. Let's jump back over into the draft and see what we're going to see for game number 3. Can Grass get onto the scoring board or not? Alrighty, guys. Not our last game. Our next game is going to be on Ghost Lake. It's going to be Tezcatlipoca. Tezcatlipoca. Everyone's terrified of this god. But it's Tezcatlipoca versus Thor. And I think Recon knows that Grass is picking Thor on this map to some degree. So he's got something lined up here for his Tezcatlipoca versus Thor. So we'll have to wait and see what it's going to be. But let's jump into this game. Game number 3. And see if grass can strike back. Ghost Lake's the map. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, off to the races we go. Tezcatlipoca in for Recon and Thor for grass. Really, really interesting stuff here. I bring this up every single time. Tezcatlipoca is one of the most matchup dependent gods in the game, and knowledge is super important here. Why? Well, Obsidian Mirror changes everything. In this matchup, Thor's single most powerful, or Thor's advantage here, excuse me. Let's just go with that. Thor's advantage in this matchup is the Dwarven Mind. But his opponent has that. So, it's not Dwarven Mind. There's no advantage here. Your opponent has the Dwarven Mind. So if this game does end up going late game, then all of a sudden, Recon's going to have 1 Dwarven Mind, 2 Dwarven Mind, 3 Dwarven Mind. No problems. I guess that makes sense why Recon wants to play this. But the problem here is that everyone's been saying, well, Aztecs, they're really good in some matchups, for sure. But against Norse, if you don't know what you're doing, Norse is going to be completely blowing you off the map. So we'll see what these players are going to do. We do have Grass opening the Dwarven Armory. To be honest, I don't like this from Grass. If this was me and I was seeing Tezcatlipoca and I was playing Thor, I would be going immediately into the most aggressive rush I possibly can. Extra eco doesn't matter here. Let's just put the Tezcatlipoca on the back foot from the get-go. We can get those armory upgrades later anyways. But let's get into his base with a handful of Herser, maybe a Valkyrie or 2, and just apply the pressure. Now, for Recon, of course, we'll just break it down. What's the strongest unit here? Why is Tezcatlipoca so popular all of a sudden for these top players? I mean, it was picked very last, dead last from Recon, but why is Tezcatlipoca so popular in general amongst the top players? The main reason is the Jaguar Rider that's available in the Heroic Age. If it was thrown into the Mythic Age for gods like Huitzilopochtli and Quetzalcoatl, it's really not that big of a deal. A lot of times you get to that position into the Mythic Age and the game is either already won or lost by then, and if it's not, other player has got plenty enough answers to deal with that Jaguar Rider. But in the in the Heroic Age, you can often be stuck in the Classical Age as the opponent and you just don't have the upgrades to deal with it. That being said, just rushing it here, well, that's what Grass is going to be expecting. He's going to throw everything he has at Recon. Now, Recon does go for Malinal Jotchitl, which makes sense. And he can go off script just a little bit. Rather than rushing for the Heroic Age, you can stay in the Classical Age for a little bit, open up with a whole bunch of Tequila Archers, and then look for a Heroic Age a little bit later. So that is an option there as well. That being said, Recon has successfully grabbed nearly every single goat on the map. Just kidding. There's 12 goats for Grass versus 22 for Recon. So Recon's happy with that. He's also grabbing himself the relics. He does give himself the Mayahuel's Magay, which is a really big relic. Every single unit that dies is going to be some resources back. Is this Berserk? Well, he is stuck in here. He is getting chased down, and he does get punched in the back, and that is going to be... should be 2 favor, but it's 0 favor apparently. You get, or maybe it's 0.75 favor, excuse me. Nevertheless, Boit in now for Grass, and Here's one thing to be somewhat worried about. If you do go for the Tequila Archer angle, well, you can get met with trolls, and trolls can be an issue. So keep that in the back of your mind. That being said, it doesn't really look like Recon is... Yeah, Recon's not messing around here. Recon is going heroic age. This is not some like, oh, we'll just see what happens. No, we're just gonna go heroic age. The Hersa, we don't really need to utilize our Cal pulley. Brings the Cal pulley onto the back. He can flip it over there anyways, as that's exactly what's going to be happening. Market gets scouted. Cal pulley coming in, and now the livestock pen is going to be working hard over here as a war hut will get dropped down as the defense is looking great. But Recon really should be thinking some partly towers here just to prevent the attacks from being anything. As the warrior priests get in, they do manage to catch the Hersa out. That's so brutal. One Hersa down. Can he get the other one as well? It looks like he does. Grass not paying attention for just a tiny bit there. And two Hersas killed for free. Is the Kimichin spy going to try and escape from the Hersas? And Grass is just going full spam on those for the time being. And this is somewhat of a problem for Recon because, well, if he's not careful, he just gets destroyed. And these large scorpions, they don't really do anything versus the Hersa. We do see the big god of Koyol Zhaokui coming through. And Grass just has got nowhere to deal damage at the moment. Surely Watchtower's next, right? Or is he just pushed off of this position by a troll? Brutal. So no Watchtowers as the villagers will come back onto the lumber camp. The troll is continuing to get that damage done. You just send a... I guess he's worried if he sends a warrior priest around to try and deal with this that he's going to have some issues. But healing spring in from Grass. Ursa pulling it back home. And Recon is fine here. Recon is fine here. Is this a special Ghost Lake? Yeah, we're playing on basically on a map set that is designed for tournament gameplay. I don't want to go into it too much. It's a little bit complicated, but these maps are designed such that they're a lot more fairer than the maps that they have their own problems. Don't get me wrong, but they're for tournaments specifically. They're a lot more fair than the developed maps. So yeah, most of the maps are these ones. And to be honest, I think that the developer maps have taken some stuff from this recently. That might just be my own. I might be wrong on that. Anyways, warrior priest now going to drop that great temple into the main base. No surprises here. Grass, I think he is basically gearing up for a flaming weapons timing attack. Like, I don't see anything else coming in, and I think that Recon knows this as the 3 large scorpions do go down. Now, one thing we can do is we can look through all of Grass's very interestingly named Hersa here. Mr. Solomon in there, Unmonarch, Honey. Thanks, guys. Double honeys. Lots of Jeziens as well. And the big question is, does Recon even bother going for Sean 1 here? I think he should. He's going straight for the... Alright, he's going straight for the Jaguar Riders. He's going to be getting himself the Koyo Zhaokui Stone, which does make all of his upgrades inside of the Great Temple very, very cheap. Grass hits the heroic age there through Bragi. And in comes... I can't even say that. We'll just call it the penance. A little bit of sacrifice bonus there as those Jaguar Riders are now in, and Recon Well, he is going to be searching for something to do here. They do move at 5.5 speed. That is as fast as the Herser, and they do have a jump. Meanwhile, Grass is just continuing to spam out Herser. There is a world here where Herser aren't a terrible play versus these Jaguar Riders. 20% hack armor, plus you get the double effect of the armory, or at least of the defensive one. But the Jaguar Riders do spot these dwarves up onto this side. This is brutal, as Grass is just going to be taking them all down. Herser will come over here and shoo them away, but the damage is already done. You see the villager differential right now. Heavily. It was heavily in favor of Grass, but now it's equal, as Heavy Jaguar Riders is also in. Meanwhile, while that's going on, Recon says, all right, up to the top side we go. Great Temple out of line of sight. Secures the Caribou, secures the gold mine, and he is getting through this early game like a treat here. Now we have the Tepiotls reach to come through, and also, Recon has spotted how many Herser are here, and he's just like, if you're going to go that many, I will build, we will build some Shorn. And these, like, you look at the stats, it's 45 hack damage per shot against an infantry unit. These are infantry units, so they are an amazing unit here. As flaming weapons, it's on. The attack will be coming in, as both players say, all right, it's time for the fight here. I don't even know if the Herser are going to be winning this fight with flaming weapons. He's fighting right underneath the Starfall, so all these units are taking a pretty big amount of damage as well, as the military differential seems like it's still staying in the advantage of Recon. As Grass will pull back, he will be losing the battle boars and things like that, but that fight did not go well for Grass at all. I've seen Grass having success with this pure Herser spam, but at the very tip-top level, when your opponent reacts to you, it's all over before it even begins. Jaguar Riders sneaking up to the top here. They're looking for something now to attack as well, but Recon has a gigantic advantage now cooking, and he can do whatever he wants moving forward. Recon sees the wall, sees the dwarves. He says, please, let me in. I'd love to kill those dwarves. So the dwarves are going to try and bail out up onto this side. Tequila archers going after them there. As the army of Grass coming in. He's got some Jarls now mixed through. To some degree here, though, Recon, he's kind of trapped. I don't know if he really should be looking for this fight, to be honest, but he's going for it. We do have a Tezcatlipoca to come through. That's going to be a nice answer to some battle ball here. And he dives right through, but if you dive in onto the back line, that's going to get focused down. Is there enough stuff here is the big question. Jaguar Riders on the back, not really doing a whole lot, as Recon looks to have thrown away a lot of that advantage, as now Grass has made a good transition himself. And Recon has to run away. Tries to keep his units alive up onto this side, but everything will end up falling. Picks off one battle ball. Those Shorn ones trying to take out the Herser. I kind of think that Recon should start thinking about a tech switch himself. A tech switch into, well, not Shorn one, not Jaguar Riders, but into Spearmen. And that is what's going to be happening, I think. Recon drops himself the War Hut. The game continues along. A little bit of a pushback from Grass here, as he did lose some villagers. There is an advantage for Recon, but it's still going to be a difficult game here, as the 3,000 gold Dwarven gold mine does get dropped down. Big boost of gold income here. If you take a look at the gold diff, 1.35 for Grass's dwarves, 0.85 for Recon's villagers. Of course, he does have the craft workshop, so it's also 15% more, but still. right? We've got the bronze armor coming through. We've got the great Jarls yarling along. Recon a little bit on the slow side to get those spearmen in, but I mean, he does still... You compare the stats on these two, actually. Heavy Jaguar Rider, 225, 20, and 19. 225, so winning on the HP, winning on the hack, but definitely losing on the damage. I don't really know who comes out in front when it comes down to that, but it's a close fight. The spearmen are necessary as the Sting of Japan comes through, and that's going to boost up those spearmen even more. Yeah, surely it's a close fight. Like, you more HP, way more effective HP. If it's just Jaguar Rider versus Jarl, that is. If the spearmen get involved, then it's a different story. To the top, random houses getting spotted, getting taken down. And Grass is looking for another big fight. The units just pull in onto this side, though. And Recon's just going to be like, oh, there he is. All right, now what? But his Jaguar Riders, he needs those back in immediately here. Militarily speaking, it's basically equal, so he's got to do something. Does have himself 9 warrior priests. Might be enough to kill off the battle balls. I don't know, but I'd love to see some Tezcatlipoca in the mix here just to help out. It's the main base getting targeted down. It's on Partly Tower. Gets taken out. Town Center is now next. Of course, there is the Great Temple here as the Jaguar Riders coming around onto the side, coming out of that jump. They do so much damage if they do come out of the trees there for a little bit. They have that boost before it does drop down. Can Grass win this fight is the big question. The spearmen are going to be huge. There's also defender's advantage as the warrior priests getting that damage done. Great control from Recon to pull away while the top side of his army forces looks like it's winning. And Grass's army just doesn't have what it takes here to take Recon out. And Recon makes short work of Grass in the semifinals. A 3-0 so that he can be as refreshed as possible for the grand finals. I'm going to have a quick chat with the players, but I think there's going to be about a 15-minute break, and then we're going to jump into the finals here. Recon and Soup. Congrats to Recon from getting there. Better luck next week for Grass. 2 players left. 1 ticket remaining. Well, not 1 ticket remaining. There's 5 tickets remaining, but 1 ticket up for grabs. Well played for Recon, but he has to back up and do it again. We'll be back very shortly. If you do want to go grab a snack, manage to do that. Get a coffee, get a beverage. We'll see you guys very shortly. Don't you guys go nowhere.